Hi DIY family, welcome back to our channel Hat by Ibanks, and today we're going to be talking about concrete mixes and how you can pour your slab. So pre-mix versus manual mixing versus also a product called premixed. We're also going to be touching on using bamboo props versus metal props and how we actually identified some reasonable ways to identify and rent some metal props. So stay tuned.
As some of you are aware, we're currently renovating our home in Jamaica. In this video series, we share our journey of adding square footage to our home. We share our experience from planning phase to finishes and all the ins and outs of building in Jamaica as we know it. We hope you follow along on our journey and be inspired to buy a fixer property in Jamaica too.
All right, so we're going to be speaking about some solid information today, right? Concrete. It's gonna be tough, guys. Tough. All right, so some concrete facts, and you could either take it as concrete as a mixture or concrete as something strong. Why choose premix over the traditional mixing? One of the things that we wanted to control was the time. So the time was very important. You normally hear time is money, right? So with our project, we had selected to go with premix for our decking. So remember we did 2 floors. So for both our floors we did premix. The ground floor we did manual decking, and well, some of it was also premix, but leftover premix. So when we started, the cost was a factor for sure. So not only just the time, but the cost. And a lot of time people think that premix is way more expensive than manual labor in terms of mixing the concrete by hand. But when we broke down the cost, it actually worked out a little cheaper for us, and I'm going to show you how. So in the spreadsheet, what we worked out, well, before we even worked it out, I made quite a bit of call in terms of the different companies that do premix to get their per cubic yard cost. And the company that we worked with was Coast to Coast. At the time, their per cubic yard was $19,700 inclusive of tax. And we did our first floor at that cost, and then by the time we went to deck our upper floor, the price actually increased. So remember, $19,700 per cubic yard. So the calculation that we did to do a comparison using manual decking, meaning you're going to buy cement, you're going to buy gravel, you're going to buy sand, plus material transportation and labor. And remember, the labor costs will vary depending on your workmen that you have, how much workman also, that may impact the cost. When you go with premix, is literally you just pay a set amount for the amount of cubic yard that you want, and that would include pump truck, the mix truck, the workman to ensure that all the concrete is poured out. What that cost doesn't include though is to have workmen level the concrete. So, and the cost to level the concrete again is pretty reasonable. So they charge $600 per cubic yard to pour the concrete, level the concrete, and if you want it to be sloped, then they'll do that for you. So they ensure that the concrete is smooth. So if you wanted to do 5 cubic yard, then it's $600 times 5 cubic yard, which is $3,000. So again, that's not so bad in terms of costing. So $19,700 for the premix. And now for the manual decking, when we calculated it, so if we're going to do 1 cubic yard doing the manual decking option, so we would have had to purchase roughly around 5 bags of cement per cubic yard. And again, it depends on the ratio that you're going to be using. So some people may say they're going to use 4 bags of cement, 3 bags of cement per cubic yard. Or sometimes they say 1 bag of cement per 2 barrel of gravel or a barrel of sand. So again, because you're going the manual route, the mixing won't be that consistent, because some workmen may fill their barrel right up to the top, some may half it, some may 3/4 it. You'll get a different mixture. Some may use more water than the others. Even if it's the same workmen doing it, if they're doing it throughout the day, it's not going to be that consistent. It's very difficult to control that. Unless you're going to measure the amount of water, measure the amount of cement, measure the amount of sand that you're going to be utilizing. But in this example, and I actually got this from a cement research company that I saw online. So they recommended using about 5 bags of cement per cubic yard, which it may work out to about $7,000 depending on where you get the cement, because cement is about $1,300 currently. You're going to need about 1 yard of gravel, which is about $3,500. Then half yard of sand, which is $2,250, but it doesn't really make sense to buy half yard of sand. And transportation. So to transport the 1 yard of gravel, half yard of sand, it's about $4,500. And then the labor now, which is again very subjective. If you're going to be mixing 1 yard of cement for the day, you may need about 3 workmen. So maybe you need 2 persons that's mixing, and then you're going to need actual mason. So maybe that's roughly about, we said about $15,000 per day. Maybe some persons charge $4,000 per day, some charge 5, some charge 6,000, but let's just work with the average of the workmen, $5,000 per day, and you have 3 workmen. So that's $15,000, right? Plus the $4,500 for the material transportation, $2,250 for the half yard of sand, 1 yard of gravel, 3.5, 5 bags of cement, around $6,500. That works out to be $31,747, right? And remember that I said the price for 1 cubic yard of pre-mixed concrete is $19,700. So right there, you're seeing the difference in terms of savings. The only caveat is that you can't purchase 1 cubic yard of premix. Some of the companies say you have to purchase a minimum of 5 yards, some 6 yards. I think Coast to Coast said their minimum is 6 yards. I even identified a place where it said they're not coming for a minimum of 20 yards, so that is kind of excessive. But normally, if you're going to do a deck, depending on the size, you're not going to really go with 1 cubic yard. If you're going with 1 cubic yard, then I would recommend going the manual way, or you could even try the premixed, which I will get to very soon. So let's extrapolate this a little now. So what if we wanted 11 cubic yards of concrete? So if we went with the premix way, it would have been $19,700 times 11, and you could ask for a discount. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but it doesn't hurt to ask. So that would work out to around $216,700. If you went the manual way now, you would need more bags of cement, so it would have worked out to about $72,000 worth of cement. Then in terms of the gravel, so you'd buy about 10 yards of gravel. Even though you want 11, you're doing 11 cubic yard, you would have to account some of that with the sand, so you wouldn't buy 11 yards of gravel. Then the material transportation, maybe about $20,000. And that would work out to be $208,972, inclusive of labor. And again, labor here we just said $15,000 times 4 equated to $60,000. And I really think that labor may be higher than this because it's a lot of work. You may need a lot of work, man. It can take you the entire day pretty much, especially if you're going to go up to a different level. Then sometimes the workmen actually want to take a day to move the material up to that level, and then they mix up there or mix it on the ground and they have to carry it up. So it's going to take a very long time. And trust me, depending on where you live, you don't want to have too much workman on the site, right? If you compare the time now, which for the manual mix it, that's to do 11 cubic yard, going to take you maybe the entire day, maybe even 2 days. When we did the premix, that 11 cubic yard, literally it was poured in about 5 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating. It took longer for them to set up the truck, wait until the mixer came and dumped out the concrete into the pump truck, and then literally about 5 minutes time everything was poured out. Then it took them a while to clean up. One item that I also would like you guys to know, that with the premix truck you can't buy the exact amount of concrete that you want. You may have to buy like a cubic yard more or 1.5 cubic yard more. The reason is that depending on the pump truck that you get, some of the concrete will remain in the truck. Not to say that you can't use it, because we literally dumped out the concrete down there and we carried it around because we had other projects to do. So what we actually did is we did our decking, and we also casted part of our wall. So we utilized the concrete. But just to know that if you wanted 11 cubic yards, you may have to buy 12 cubic yards. If you wanted 10, you may have to buy 11. And you can just ask them to just dump it out at the back of the truck, and you can carry it around if you have any other projects. But again, the time that it takes, it's pretty fast, because as I said, 5 minutes and they're pretty much done in terms of pumping out everything. And then if you wanted, they could level it, so they leveled all of the concrete there. So to me, if you compare the cost, 216,000 versus 208,000, yes, that's what, $8,000 difference. But it's faster, less coordination. You know that you're getting a consistent mix, so you don't have to worry about some part of the concrete is stronger than the other, some part is water, some part is tougher. So the consistency is very important, and you can control the materials on site. All right, so a next important thing, again, still related to time, is how long your decking would stay up, or how long do you have to keep up the support for the concrete. So normally with the manual decking, you have to keep up your props, keep up your support longer, because it doesn't dry as quick as the premix, because the premix, they put additives in it for it to dry fast and stuff like that. So literally when we were pouring our premix concrete, like some of it fell over the wall, and like in a few, maybe like 20 minutes time, it literally got tough. Even when we dumped out some of it at the back and to move it around, it was getting tough that quick. So it dries pretty fast, and it's to me it's stronger when you compare it versus the manual mixing. Engineers said it's stronger. The concrete that we purchased from the premix, it was 3,000 psi. I think the carb cement that you can buy in the stores is the same 3,000 psi, if not it's 2,500 psi. We'll confirm this for you. The next option that you could also look on is called Spec-crete, which is a product from premixed. So we did some research about this product. Very, very good product. They have different types of already pre-mixed concrete products. So the ones that you would use for like decking is called Spec-crete or foundation. We didn't use it for our decking, but we did use the other Spec-crete products. So like the thin set, that's a next saving tip that we'll mention in another series. They're also like the masonry concrete, meaning that they already clean, sieve, they already purify the sand and the cement. It has all of the ingredients in it. All you need to do is add water and you're just ready to use. It's very, very fine grained to give it a nice smooth finish. So Spec-crete, if you wanted to go this route, that is an option. And with Spec-crete, they sell the concrete in 80-pound bags. So you can literally go to a store, buy a bag. We normally go directly to premixed. We get the direct cost, so it's cheaper, and we can just order any amount that we want. So with Spec-crete, again, comes in 80-pound bags, and for a bag of Spec-crete, it's about $850, $800, we could say, and that's inclusive of tax. One bag of Spec-crete, so this is based on their actual calculation. So they said that 2 bags of Spec-crete can cost 3 square feet at 4 inches thick, meaning 42 bags per cubic yard. So we have been using the calculation for one cubic yard, right? So we need roughly about 42 bags per cubic yard. And we said that a bag of Spec-crete is about $850. If you buy a lot though, you'll get it for cheaper. They normally give discounts like that. So $850 times the 42, so that's roughly around $35,700. So it does work out a little more expensive, which is why we didn't go with the Spec-crete. But if you're working with a smaller area, you don't want to have a lot of materials on site, you want to have a much more controlled mixture without going the premix route. Let's say you wanted 2 cubic yards or 3 cubic yards, then you could consider going the Spec-crete way, where you can control the amount of material that you have on site. You can also control the quality mix, because each bag is the same quality mix. All you need to do is just add water, so the consistency is there, and minimal cleanup also. We can't talk about decking without speaking about props or bamboos. So we did a comparison in terms of what should we use to support the decking. So yes, you have the boards in terms of the form ply, you have the 2x4 as supports, but what do you actually use to hold them up? Some people go the route of bamboo because they say metal props is too expensive. I've heard stories of bamboos breaking, boards breaking, and decking giveaway. We didn't want to take that chance at all. So we knew that we wanted to go the metal props route, and also with the metal props you don't need as much bamboos, because with the bamboos you have to space them closer. So we did some research, and we got a very, very, very good deal. Big up to A1 Equipment. That's where we got our metal props from. But before I even tell you the price that we got our metal props for, some people rent metal props for like $200 per prop per day. In terms of bamboo, we have seen prices like $400, and that's you purchasing a bamboo, not renting a bamboo now. So one bamboo $400. But remember that you will own the bamboo, so in the end you can do whatever you want with the bamboo. Maybe you want to build a fence, maybe you have some projects afterwards, maybe you can rent it out afterwards, or you can sell it. I don't know the durability of the bamboo, like how long you can reuse it. We went with metal props. So again, we saw places renting metal props for like $200 per day. We got our metal props from A1 Equipment for $15 per day for the metal prop. And that is the 11 feet metal prop. So I think it can extend between 8 and 11 feet. So 15 Jamaican dollar per day. Like what I've told some of the workmen, and they say 15 US, no man, 15 Jamaican dollar. So we wanted like 20 props, and it worked out reasonable to rent them, and we didn't have to pay for delivery also, so that was good. But 15 Jamaican dollars, and we got sturdy metal props. Because we went with a premix option, we also didn't have to leave up the structure for very long. I think we left it up for like 10 days. If you went the route of doing manual mixing, then you may have to leave up the support for longer. DIY family, thanks for tuning in. Hope this was very helpful, and based on your project you can make your decision. But for us, the premix worked out very well, and it saved us time, saved us money, saved us headache also, and we were glad we went with the premix option. So all the best in your building, and I hope this was helpful.